with the red pants. Get a look at our key players to watch. Earl Timberlake, Hunter Dickinson, and Justin Moore, 3 talented guys going to lead the Stags. And one thing to note, the Stags wearing shirts in honor of Victor Oladipo, the alum of DeMatha, who of course plays for the Pacers, suffered that tough season-ending injury. So they're wearing those shirts to honor him, and he still comes out to Hyattsville. We'll practice with the guys and very much part of that community. So great to see the Stags honoring him. Now we'll tilt it over to the Paul VI Panthers, and there you see the 6-man student section in a full-on neon out. And for the Panthers, what a 24 hours for Trevor Keels, number 0. He has offers from Wake Forest and GWU. He also hit a dagger last night, a game winner from beyond Steph Curry three-point range to lift the Panthers to their 10th win in 11 games. Of course, number 11, Doug McDaniel, the freshman, already holding offers from Wake Forest. And then Josiah Freeman, another talented big. He will be a key factor there. You see him being introduced. These two teams, when it comes to the standings and the rankings, it does not get any bigger than these squads. Right now, both teams standing at 12-0 in WCAC play. The winner tonight gets that driver's seat for the coveted number 1 seed in the playoffs. And of course, number 1 and number 2 in the Washington Post. So you got those rankings as the chase for All-Met Team of the Year heats up as we are at that February frenzy point. Forget March Madness, I'm about the February frenzy. They got that dramatic bell. I love it. It's Undertaker or basketball, we'll find out. PVI in the all gold with the black numbers. DeMatha with the red and the blue numbers. And as far as local teams go, I'm pretty sure DeMatha has the most colorways for their uniforms. They got a blue, they got a gray, they got a black. They really mix and match it. And we are underway here in Fairfax. Stags with the opening possession. For DeMatha, look for them to try to get out to a quick start. Panthers, of course, played just last night. They'll go to the big guy, and that is a bucket to start off. That's Hunter Dickinson, the big guy.
Dickinson offers from Notre Dame, Purdue, UVA. He's one of the top prospects in the class of 2020, both on ESPN.com and USA Today.
Freeman with it now, looking to answers. The Panthers will wing it around the top. There's that freshman, Doug McDaniel, as he'll pull up for the 3. That one is short. Stags now quickly the other way. In through the trees, off the glass for Earl Timberlake.
You're starting to see some of the best players for the DeMatha Stags making an impact early. Timberlake offers from Maryland, West Virginia, a number of Division I programs. Not a bad start for Timberlake and Dickinson.
Before the game, both coaches, Glenn Farrell for the Panthers, Mike Jones of the Stags, got together with the refs, and I couldn't quite hear them, but just based off reading body language, they were talking about how they wanted officiated, let the big guys play, let them bang, and we'll see how the refs do choose to call that.
Will be interesting to see how that impacts Dickinson specifically. He likes to play a little bit away from the painted area, more on the perimeter than the average big man.
Keels, the last shot he made was a game winner. He'll pass it off. Panthers, 5 to shoot. Keels. And that one doesn't go. Rebound there by Dickinson. Timberlake inside to Dickinson. Kick out. 3-ball. That rattles out. Odoro on the board. Here comes the freshman, Doug McDaniel. Pull up. Hits it. (4-2) DeMatha lead early on here. Dickinson up top. And don't let his size fool you. He does have three-point range. DeMatha shoots a three off the screen. Wide open tray will fall for Justin Moore, the Villanova commit.
And McDaniel hitting the first points for Paul VI, but already the three top players in our Players to Watch graphic have scored already. Justin Moore, the Villanova commit. All three of those guys going to play at a high-level Division I school in the not-so-distant future.
It's always nice when that graphic works out, as that three ball works out for McDaniel.
The range on that three-point shot, Brian, that must have been 2 or 3 feet beyond the line.
That was perhaps an NBA length three. That's DeMatha driving, kick out, open three on the other end, back iron. Stags on the offensive glass, and that will be Earl Timberlake, who has 4. Panthers responding, Freeman, and that one is short of everything. Oduro trying to save it off of DeMatha. Crafty play there to retain possession.
DeMatha looking every bit as good as their national ranking, Brian. Number 5 in the country. Sure, they're the best team in the area, but when you're in the top 5 of the United States, that's when you know that you are a very, very good program.
And it's often talked about the WCAC is the best conference in the country. When you're playing night after night teams that are also nationally ranked, that's what happens. And DeMatha, they have 2 losses on the season, as that one goes in for Freeman. And DeMatha's 2 losses aren't to just anyone. They're to 2 nationally ranked teams. As they get that one to go, that is Justin Moore on the other end. He has 5. He'll go to the line for a 3-point chance. As he heads to the line now, there you'll see both teams coaching him up as the players step away from the stripe, and now they'll head back.
And you mentioned those 2 losses this season, Brian, to the number 1 and number 3 team in the country. Strength of schedule, quite high.
That one goes at 6 points in the early going for Moore. Yeah, these WCAC teams don't play cupcakes. They will travel far and near. If you are good, they will find you.
Absolutely.
And meet you on the hardwood. As Keels goes inside, kicks it out. McDaniel long 3. And that one rattles out. Rebounded there by Timberlake. Lost the handle. That's a turnover. 12-7, early lead for DeMatha on the road. But as you've seen on Monumental throughout this year, on games that I've happened to be on, PVI never says die. They always seem to hang around and find a way. It's still early here as they move it around. McDaniel back to Oduro. Freeman long 3. That goes.
I don't know what Coach Farello was teaching these guys in practice, but the range on this team is ridiculous.
That's a turnover.
And that's the side of the basketball that Paul VI has made their bread and butter on the defensive end of the floor. By far the best defensive team in the WCAC this season. A big reason why they're 12-0 in conference play.
They're the UVA of the WCAC on defense. Trevor Keels will bring it up. Now to Freeman. Love the movement at the top of the point here. 15 to shoot. Oduro trying to make a move. He'll dish it off. 10 to shoot, and that's tipped. Panthers with 10 to work with. Keels set to get it in. Panthers. That's controlled by Will Page. Now to Keels, drives, kick out. Page drives, kick out again. Got to get it up, too late. And that'll do it for the shot clock, so that's a turnover.
And that's a big defensive stop from DeMatha there, too. We have already discussed Paul VI's defensive prowess. Their offense, right in the middle of the pack in the WCAC, certainly not an offensive powerhouse. DeMatha, though, they could score in a variety of ways, inside and out. Big, big matchup tonight between the DeMatha offense and the Paul VI defense.
Inside to Dickinson, post up, and that is easy work there from the big fella.
That's a part of his game he's really gotten better at over the last year. Always has been a good shooter from beyond the arc, but his post moves have really improved over the course of this season specifically.
Oduro stretching things out. They go to Will Page. Oduro, a little pull up, too strong. Rebound there by Timberlake. Stags kick out near side and lost the handle. They'll get it back. Nearly disaster for Kogelnick. Inside, and Timberlake can't get that one to go. Now for the Panthers, what I'm noticing so far, they're settling for a lot of long threes. They're hitting some, but yesterday, Trevor Keels, of course, he had the game winner, but he had 12 free throws in that game. He was constantly attacking the rim. I don't know if it's the presence of Dickinson or what, but the Panthers got to work inside a little bit more. I know I'm old school. I know the three's flashy right now, but work inside a little bit more, get some easier attempts. Couple of quick subs on both sides. Get our first look at Tyler Coleman for the Panthers. Panthers playing a back-to-back. Of course, last night they played before the big football game took place, as that one goes. That's 6 for Timberlake to start this off. Coleman dishes it. Panthers come back to the near side. That's McDaniel. Way out to Keels. 10 to work with. Keels still with it. Great open pass. It's blocked. Keels gets his own rebound. Was it a shot clock violation or did he step out? They'll call it a foul instead. It was dangerously close to a shot clock violation.
Very close. And the presence of mind to go get your own rebound there, too. A lot of dribbling on that possession, at least 10 to 15 seconds from Keels. Still finds a way to make the right play on the same possession. Nice move inside and get into the free throw line like you just mentioned.
Can't get that one to fall, but that's what you want if you're the Panthers, is they made a couple of substitutions maybe to coach them up and stress getting to the basket. They aren't going to take McDaniel or Keels off the floor, but everyone else they've swapped out. Near side, Stags go into a trap, and they'll get out of it with a great pass. That's Moore looking for some help. In the corner, lost the handle as that's Kogelnick turning it over. 1:47 to go. First quarter, 16-12, DeMatha leads.
What is the theme of the student section tonight? I cannot tell. I thought it was construction because of the vests, but then there was a lot of colors.
Party rock?
It's a party here.
McDaniel, and the banks are open after 7 tonight.
McDaniel has been such a nice surprise for this team this year. Was highly touted entering this season as a freshman, but with the 2 injuries right off the top to their 2 best players for Paul VI, what a great player he's been for this team.
Great ball movement, creates a space for Jameer Young, who has 2. McDaniel pulls it up top. Little pullback. McDaniel just doing it all, finally dishes it off as they'll get it to Keels. For the Panthers, a good possession sees McDaniel and Keels touch at once. Distance on that's back iron. And Panthers can't clean up the glass. DeMatha, though, will throw it away in transition.
And to your point, Brian, that must be their 4th deep three-point shot they've taken in this first quarter. It seems like their offense has been a little stymied, perhaps, in this first quarter overall.
For the Panthers, it's rare that they step on the floor and aren't the bigger team or have a little bit more of a size advantage. So having to deal with that as Keels goes through the trees, can't get that to go. DeMatha will launch it, and we'll have a foul on the floor. That's a smart foul committed by Avery Ford, avoiding an open floor type of foul, but overall really clean first quarter, just 4 fouls between the 2 teams.
The pace of play in this game has been a lot quicker than I think I expected, Brian, especially with a team like Paul VI that plays a little slower than the average team.
Baseline, and that is a pretty one for Young. 18 seconds, PVI will hold for 1, it looks like. And if you're DeMatha, why not push the pace? The Panthers are coming off a game last night, coming off a buzzer beater. Let's see what their stamina is like. McDaniel underneath. Can't get it to go, and that'll do it for the first quarter of play. DeMatha leads the Panthers 20-14. As both teams head off to the side to talk things over. Are you loving the high school basketball showcase presented by WGL on Monumental Sports Network? Tell your friends to visit getmonumentalhs.com to subscribe. Of course, if you're a PVI student or fan, look for yourself on the big screen. It's going to be easy to spot you as we take a look now at the local rankings. There you see it as DeMatha is ranked 1, the Panthers 2, Gonzaga 4. So you have Wilson, a very strong public school, number 3 out of Northwest D.C. Of course, you have the talented Mitchell twins down there going to Maryland. And then you got Flint Hill out of the MAC. And then Gonzaga. I mean, these are premier programs, 3 of them in the WCAC. And if we expand this list further, you'd have O'Connell and PVI right there rounding out the top 7.
And for PVI, obviously a number 2 in these rankings, but the 5 teams in the WCAC that are certainly competitive, including St. John's. But for Flint Hill, a team that just lost their first game since December 4th, a couple days ago, to a team from Virginia Beach, another really good team. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch all the area basketballs as they wrap up and they start approaching tournament play.
Yeah, as much fun as the regular season is, once these teams are in the playoffs, every year one team always happens to get upset in the WCAC early. Same with the MAC, so that stuff's going to be fun when we get there. Second quarter underway, 20-14 lead for DeMatha with 7:40 to go in the first half. As that one goes out of bounds, we'll check the call. That foul is going to be on Will Page of the Panthers. Nope, they changed it. Doug McDaniel of the Panthers, number 11, his first personal. Inside, Oduro, number 12, off the boards, doesn't go. DeMatha gets it. Here come the Stags. Quickly down the floor, Josh Wallace controls, and now they get it off to Moore. Moore thought about the step back. That was very close to a double dribble. Does get that up and gets it to go. Panthers quickly the other way. Now they'll settle it down. Keels. Trevor Keels, number 0, running the point. Him along with the freshman Doug McDaniel splitting point guard duties, 15 to shoot. See if they settle or drive. McDaniel thought about it, lost his rhythm. He'll pull up. That one is short. DeMatha looking to take advantage on the transition inside. Finger roll for Jameer Young. He has 6. Time out Panthers as the Stags take a 10-point lead with 6:44 to go first half.
And Jameer Young just outran the entire Paul VI defense on that play in transition. He must have run past at least 4 players to get to the bucket. Really nice play by DeMatha.
And what caused all that? Another long 3. I know what the numbers say. I know what the analytics say, but you can't shoot threes from Route 50. You got to be in the building. You got to be a little bit closer to that. But you also got to attack the rim. That's what PVI did so well last night. And if you're settling for outside shots, is that because of fatigue?
I'm sure fatigue is a part of it. I also wonder, to your point you made in the first quarter about the size that DeMatha has as well, not only in their post players, but also in their guards. If you look at some of the guys that have scored for this team already, whether it be Jameer Young or Justin Moore, neither of those guys lack size or strength. That could be a big part of it, too. You have to get to the lane in order to score inside.
Trevor Keels, though, not a small guy by any means.
Absolutely.
As well. They go back to Keels. He thought about the 3, and I'm sure Ferrello in that huddle said, let's go to the basket a little bit more. Now Keels heeding that advice inside, gets it to go.
If he can get to that right hand and drive into the painted area, he's a freight train. He's either getting to the line or he's getting the basket.
Stag settling it up to Moore. Student section starting to come alive for the Panthers. Stags moving it, 10 to shoot. Great ball movement, driving, kick out. Doesn't go, rebound, and everyone just got caught watching that one. And who stepped out? They'll say the Panthers stepped out. DeMatha ball with a fresh 30.
Kills you when you're on the defensive side of the basketball and you can't secure that rebound. To your point, Brian, it wasn't just the defense either. It seemed like everyone on the court were just watching to wait to see what happened there. Fresh shot clock for DeMatha.
It was almost like watching volleyball players where no one calls ball and you just see the ball drop in the middle.
And then you just look at each other and say, oh.
Timberlake will pull it out. DeMatha's done a great job of moving the ball on the perimeters. Now Timberlake has it. Great move inside, gets to the rack. Soft finish.
There's a reason these guys are ranked in the top 50 in their classes, Brian.
McDaniel baseline, up top, Keels. Can't get that one to go. Oduro fighting for it. Panthers get the board. Huge rebound there for Ford. Panthers reset, fresh shot clock. McDaniel trying to fight his way inside will draw a reach in.
It's impressive to see the savviness of a freshman with that kind of dribbling ability, drawing the foul on that play. Number 11.
Foul's going to go against Wallace, his first personal. That's Freeman, number 24, up top. Gets it to Trevor Keels, wearing that number 0 as McDaniel has it now. Daniel, little floater, lost the handle going up, and DeMatha on the boards. Stags quickly the other way. Josh Wallace, number 12, controls. Swings it over to Justin Moore and back to Earl Timberlake. Their own agent 0 as the Stags will move it around. Moore 10 to shoot, puts up the contested long 2, doesn't go. Oduro on the board. McDaniel up ahead, Keels. Gonna drive baseline. Great movement, but it looks like Freeman, number 24, stepped out, and he did. That's a turnover. 4:28 to go before half. 26-16 lead. Foul category, neither team in foul trouble. 3 on each side. It's a very clean game so far. And it's not a matter of the refs letting each team play, just a well-played game so far.
Absolutely. If you're Paul VI, these last 4.5 minutes of the first half, I think you need to try to contain this DeMatha offense a little bit. You don't want to have this thing be double digits at halftime. Inside,
and that's not what you want if you're the Panthers. That's Steve Settle for 2. And we're going to get another PVI timeout, this time a 30-second as Ferrello looking for answers. Right now, as the Panthers look for some answers, I'd like to remind you that WGL is proud to be the official and exclusive energy and greening partner for the Capital City Go-Go, Washington Wizards, Capitals, Mystics, and Capital One Arena. Learn more at WGL.com.
So as you look in the huddle right now for Paul VI, they're trailing by 12, Brian. How do they get back into this game and cut this thing to at least single digits before halftime?
Number 1 is going to be stop settling for threes. Run your offense. Do what you do well. Keels only has 1 free throw in this half. At halftime last night, he had 8. So that's the blueprint. Find a way to get inside. McDaniel doesn't necessarily have the stature to do it, but he can certainly break some ankles on his way to the rack. I want to see Keels going downhill, maybe get some kickouts as well. Freeman 24, a little move inside, and maybe that's why they aren't going inside. Dickinson says nope. Back the other way we go. Moore through the trees. Dickinson throws it down.
What a pass inside around the Panther defender, in for the slam. Nice play by DeMatha, up 14.
Panthers now trying to figure some things out. Freeman dishes it to McDaniel, thought about a step back, picked up the dribble, and throws it away. Another timeout called by the Panthers as Ferrello beside himself as the team just can't heed his message at this point.
The difference between these two teams is very simple. One of them is experienced, and one of them is not. There's a lot of youth on this Paul VI team, despite the fact that their depth has really carried them to a 12-0 record in conference.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the two Panthers at all that aren't here tonight. As you have Jeremy Roach, a 5-star recruit, looked at by schools like Duke. You have Anthony Harris, another highly touted 4-star. Between both of them, that's 9 stars. That's a lot of stars to not have out there.
Stars.
And you throw both of them on this team, you see the Panthers have a little bit more depth as 2 players slide to the bench.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, you have no depth for a back-to-back like this.
Roach is a junior. Harris is a senior. Both of them are going to play Division I basketball at a very good school. And they both after the season with ACL injuries. You know, it was for Roach, it was before the season even started. Harris, I believe, was 1 or 2 games into the season. Yep. Both of them are here, and they're supporting their team, but the leadership on the court, I think, would go a long way for this team as well. Although, having said all of this, despite the youth, despite losing their 2 best players, for Paul VI to even be in this position at this point in the season, I think is a pleasant surprise to a lot of people. They're 17-4 overall record, very solid. 12-0 in the WCAC, very, very good. And against a team like DeMatha, again, you have to remember, this is a top 5 team in the country, not just the #1 team in the area. They've done a nice job. It's going to take a lot to get back in this ballgame.
I mean, for me, if I used to have these powers, but I don't anymore. If I had a vote or a say for local high school basketball coach of the year, Glenn Farrell has to be right there with what he's done.
Absolutely. I also don't have a vote, but I agree with you, Brian.
I used to be in that business, and then all the emails afterwards when you snub someone, I was like, I don't need that.
And you see right now Joshua Oduro going to the bench, number 12 for Paul VI. I think he needs to play a little bit better on the defensive end as well.
That one doesn't go. Panthers really going small ball now with their lineup, trying to perhaps push the pace on the size. Lost the handle. They'll get it to Dickinson. Transition. Here come the Stags. Lost the handle, and that'll be a foul on the floor. PVI or DeMatha trying to say they should be shooting, but they called it on the floor initially. They'll stick with that call.
Yeah, that's the right call.
Foul goes against Xavier Joyner. Joyner didn't play a minute yesterday, and earlier this season when the Panthers made their ferocious comeback against O'Connell down 25, Farello pulled a lot of starters for an extended period to send a message, and I wonder if they're doing that now as they've pulled Oduro, they've pulled a couple of their main key players.
You mentioned the small ball lineup right now for Paul VI. It is interesting. When you put in a small ball lineup, by definition, you're trying to go more guard heavy, trying to speed up the pace a little bit. And yet still, DeMatha, 4 of their 5 players on the floor, just as fast as anyone on this Paul VI team right now. It almost seems like they have their own small ball, throwing Dickinson in the middle.
Yeah. As here comes DeMatha right through. Timberlake can't get it to go. Second try, and that'll fall. That's Tyrell Ward, and you're just seeing the DeMatha depth. Different names on seemingly every bucket. You had the big 3 starting it off, but since then, you've had a variety of players coming in. Settle out of nowhere, Hawkins, so a big-time variety for the Stags.
And all of a sudden, this is a 16-point lead. Biggest lead of the ball game for the Stags.
And Dan, to your point earlier, closing out halves, when you're down double digits, you want to trim this down. If you're PVI, you want to get out of this half down by no more than 10 if you can. Keels inside off the boards, can't get it to go. Earl Timberlake, number 0, will dish it off as the Stags will set up the offense. 20 to shoot, Timberlake pulls it back. Justin Moore, number 5, gets a screen, will drive through. Defense swarms, and Freeman on the boards.
That was a nice defensive play there.
Josiah Freeman dribbles through the defense and through Dickinson for 2.
We've seen Freeman put up some big numbers this year. He had 24 points against Montford at National Hoop Fest on Monumental Sports Network. He certainly can put points on the board. Need more production out of him in this game.
Controlled by Moore now. The Stags go up top, trying to find their way inside. Kick back out to Moore. Justin Moore, did he travel or was he fouled? I believe they're going to call the foul. So we'll get a quick sub for the Panthers as Will Page checks back in. That foul will go against Josiah Freeman, number 24. First personal. The Panthers now at 16 fouls, so another foul, and the Stags are in the bonus 1-1. DeMatha pulls it out up top. Jameer Young, who has 6, running the point. Back to Dickinson. Great ball movement from the Stags again. Kick out. Back to Dickinson down low. Can't get it to go. Loose ball. Dickinson corrals. And that falls. That's just unfair.
Sometimes size helps rebounding, but he grabbed that one off the ground. Big man getting it done inside.
With the small ball lineup out there, it's almost like one of those YouTube videos where you have that one really tall kid playing with all the little kids on a 7-foot rim.
Truly, look at, if you're looking at on the screen right now, everybody lining up to get the rebound on the free throw, and then look who's shooting the free throw. The height difference is staggering right now. And you know what? You saw a small bit of what Dickinson can do. He can finish with both hands at the basket. 7-footer who can also shoot from long range. One of the best prospects in the DMV.
And you can't teach that, as offers from Notre Dame, Purdue, and UVA, among others. Could play with his old teammate Harvey Grant up there at Notre Dame. That one, it goes. So 3-point play opportunity. And
you know, overall, I don't think Keels should feel that unhappy about what he's done in this first half. I think the issue is he just hasn't getting a lot of these the attempts to fall.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen 2 or 3 layups already. Really nice drives to the basket, unable to get them to fall. He's gone to the free throw line a couple times as well, but overall the approach is there. It's just finishing some of these drives.
DJ Harvey is the former DeMatha player at Notre Dame.
Harvey Grant.
That would be the former NBA player who had several kids go through DeMatha,
including Jarian Grant, who went to
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Yep. There were so many of them I couldn't keep track. There was one that went through Syracuse.
That's right. 4 Grant children.
Yep.
2 of them in the NBA.
That'll go in favor of the Panthers, and a little turning point here. 14 points is the deficit, but 43 seconds. Maybe you go 2 for 1 if you go quick. As the Panthers with a chance here, let's see what they'll opt to do. They're slowing it down with McDaniel, number 11, the freshman phenom, running the point.
Any momentum you can get heading into halftime is welcome.
That was nearly a disaster. Ford, little spin move, can't get it to drop. DeMatha going to hold for 1 as Coach Mike Jones puts up the 1. DeMatha, though, going a little bit quick, and now they'll get it back up top. Shot clock off as this one pulled out by Jameer Young. 10 to shoot. Justin Moore, 5 seconds. Moore off the hands of Young, out of bounds. 2 seconds. The Panthers have been here before. They were here just yesterday. Couple of seconds to work with. Can they get up a long shot? Paging Trevor Keels. 2.8 seconds before halftime. Panthers looking for some momentum here. They get it to Keels. He's going to heave it. And that one goes off the backboard. And that will do it for the first half of play. DeMatha heads to the locker room leading 35-21. We'll be back. Sports Network.
We're going to come back. We're not going to do standings until the next timeout. So just go through the top performers, all right? Read first.
Hello and welcome back to Fairfax, Virginia. Brian Kapoor here alongside Dan Nolan. And I'd like to remind you that you can take the game with you wherever you are. Watch the Monumental Sports Network on the iOS or Android mobile apps. The power of portability, as it were. You don't have to be here if you're recovering from the big game. You could be at home watching this. I'd like to also welcome in our Facebook Live audience. I saw that Gonzaga coach Steve Turner taking a peek up at the competition. He was actually at St. John's last night. Had a chance to catch up with him. Always great to see Coach.
If you can't be at the game, you may as well watch on Monumental Sports Network, Brian.
Of course. As that one goes up, does not fall. Panthers on the board. Oduro gets it. Freeman in transition. Nearly lost his footing, and that's a turnover. And for the Panthers, they needed to find some answers. Multiple timeouts called in the first half. You have the halftime break. Let's see what they do. Dickinson misses a bunny as that goes out of bounds. And the Panthers get possession. And we're talking about this off camera. If you're the Panthers, I keep saying drive to the rim. It's not there. There's a reason why they are settling for the long shots. You got to find a way. And one way you find options is off-ball movement, and you aren't seeing much of that yet here.
Although, right on cue as you were saying that, you saw a few off-ball picks being set, but they're not even getting close to the baseline here.
McDaniel, and he is going to be fouled, so he'll go to the line for a couple.
That's just what the doctor ordered for Paul VI. Driving to the basket, going to the foul line.
And if you're the Panthers, the benefit of going to the line, and he's nowhere near foul trouble, would be to find a way to get Hunter Dickinson into foul trouble. Have not been able to do that. Still in football mode.
This game more entertaining than last night's game.
Yes, for sure.
The Super Bowl, I should say.
Yes, that 100 commercial
was so good.
Yes.
So good. Big fan of the Bud Light Game of Thrones combo commercial as well. That was awesome.
That one, short rebound there by Earl Timberlake. Number 0 brings it down. Going to drive through. Dickinson hits it.
And that's a perfect example of what height and athleticism can do for this DeMatha Stags team. Earl Timberlake, nice drive to the basket. Had a pass with his length only he could get, and Dickinson was able to be there to finish.
He has 12 as DeMatha gets that board. Quickly the other way, Young. Dickinson gets the roll, give him 14. McDaniel with the answer.
High off the glass there.
And for McDaniel, I'm trying to figure out a comp as that doesn't go. Seen a lot of undersized guards really shine. Akil Carr comes to mind, the crime stopper from Baltimore a couple years ago. A little bit of a Chris Likes to him. I think Chris Likes had better handles, though. Other than stature, I don't know how much of a comparison is there, but there's something special about the way he can handle and drive through.
The other thing is, he's only a freshman. So still plenty of room not only for proverbial growth in his game, but literal growth in height and strength. Nonetheless, a great start to his high school career this season.
And of course, with a lot of these kids, you don't necessarily get that strength and conditioning you'll get at the college level. It's upon them, and with the AAU culture, you're playing more games and practicing or working on some of those other things. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops. As here we go, 40-24 lead. Doing some quick math, I believe that's 16 points with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Keels, pressured. Nice bounce pass, can't get it to fall though, and the Panthers' shooting percentage, we aren't tracking it, but it has to be somewhere in the 20s.
They have had so many solid looks at the basket and just haven't been able to finish when they can actually get there.
McDaniel will drive through and set up from the point, and we're going to get an off-ball foul on Oduro.
I think they got him with the, I thought it was a hook, but Oduro has struggled today, and it makes sense. He's matched up with one of the best bigs in the area in Dickinson, but need a little bit more out of Oduro probably in this second half to get back in the game.
Near side for the Stags, that's Justin Moore. The Nova commit puts up the three. Doesn't go. That's tipped back to the Stags. And if you're the Panthers, that's unfortunate as it goes right back to Timberlake.
It's also mature to send that back out instead of trying to force up another shot after the offensive rebound. Reset the offense. DeMatha knows what they're doing here.
Their ball movement's just been stellar as Moore puts that up. Put back attempt doesn't go, but that'll be a couple of free throws coming up for the Stags. And who else but Dickinson underneath? So that's Keel's first personal.
Yeah, we discussed this in the first half, Brian, but again, DeMatha entered this game 12-0 in conference play, 20-2 overall after that first free throw. Their only two losses came to number 1 in the country, La Lumiere, and number 3 in the country, IMG Academy, right here on Monumental Sports Network. Now, the IMG game was very close throughout, ended up not having enough juice at the end of that game. Lumiere, though, we just saw them on the network last week. Boy, they are a real good team. DeMatha, though, nonetheless, having a good season.
42-24. PVI pulls back. Keels, now McDaniel with it. Back to Keels' corner. Freeman hits it. Freeman with 10. And if you're a Panthers fan, you'll remember this. PVI erased a 25-point second half deficit at O'Connell. They'll need that type of effort here to knock down DeMatha as Keels thought about the three, drives. Nice little Euro step, can't get it to fall. Oduro blocked from behind, Stags on the board. And those types of shots just have not fallen for the Panthers this evening. Up top, Dickinson will kick out. Young pulls up, it goes.
That's a tough momentum swing there for Paul VI. Nice transition opportunity, unable to fall, and that timeout comes from DeMatha.
And I love that. Just a little bit of momentum, and Coach Jones says, nope, we're going to talk this over. It feels like DeMatha has been settling for a few too many outside shots on their end, so we'll look to DeMatha to perhaps change that up as we take a look at the national rankings. Of course, you've seen some of these teams playing right here on Monumental Sports Network.
Well, Lumiere right there, we just discussed them, number 1. We saw them in Cumberland, Maryland at Bob Kirk last week. In IMG Academy, we've seen a number of times on Monumental Sports Network at National Hoop Fest, along with Montverde, number 4. A lot of good teams out there, and DeMatha is as good as any of them. And
WCAC's ties to 2 of the top 5. IMG Academy led by who? Sean McAloon, the former coach of St. John's.
Correct.
In the WCAC. So the reach, incredible. As right there, you get a look at DeMatha talking things over.
The other thing with DeMatha is it's not that they're just ranked in the top 5. Those 2 losses came to 2 of the top 3 in the country, obviously, but Max Preps always releases their top 25 games of the year entering a season. DeMatha was in 5 of them. 5 of the 25 games, so the strength of schedule, stout, to say the least, for DeMatha.
DeMatha does not feed on the weak, they prey on the strong, as that one does not go. If someone at DeMatha puts that on a shirt, I want some credit.
That looks really good.
I don't even remember what I said.
Go to the tape.
As DeMatha will set things up, 15 to shoot, trying to use more of that shot clock here. 8 to shoot now, as that is Timberlake. Earl Timberlake, 0, lost the handle. PVI picks it up. Freeman quickly down the floor, inside. Foul going up. And that was close. It looked a lot like Kogelneck had his hand straight up, but they'll call it. It's his second personal.
It's a tough call in transition. I tend to think that a call that close would go to the offensive player. I don't mind the call there. Yeah. Especially given how smooth the game has really been to this point, Brian. I mean, we're 3:10 left in the third quarter already. The pace of play has been nice. I think the officials have done a nice job tonight overall.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close call. It's not a Saints-Rams call by any means. Got that one to go as he hits them both. And right now, Panthers just trying to chip away at this. You got 3 minutes to work with in the third. DeMatha goes to Dickinson. Backdoor left open. McDaniel shut it down, but that's going to be another close one. Arms were up, but call goes both ways. I like it. If you're going to call it on both sides.
Agreed. And how about that pass by Dickinson? He rifled that thing into the post.
That was a self-defense catch from Jameer Young.
So, Brian, you've seen two of the more exciting games in the conference this season. The O'Connell comeback victory, obviously yesterday's buzzer beater from half court from Keels. How did Paul VI come back in each of those games, and how does that translate to what we're seeing here tonight and how they can get back against the Stags?
Against O'Connell, it was right after Anthony Harris went down, so PVI is still finding their way. I want to say midway through the third, Farello took all 5 starters out, put them all back in, and then they went on an incredible run. I want to say it was like a 30-6 run or something like that to close it out, as Keels can't get that one to go. Freeman gonna drive, pulls it up, can't get the roll again, and credit to the Panthers, they're hustling after it, and the arrow goes to the Panthers.
So nice hustle by the Panthers for sure, but a microcosm of what this game has been like for Paul VI, working very hard for some good opportunities, and just unfortunately have not seen many of them fall, not only in this quarter, but throughout this game.
Shout out to the floor maintenance kid working with one arm, got one in a sling, but still keeping the floor dry. Panthers working with 25 on the shot clock. Great dime inside, Oduro with the finish.
Let's see if that play can wake up Oduro in the post along with the Panthers down low.
Now, you talk about Panther finishes against St. John's last night. They were always within striking distance, never outside of 10, and that was just Keels and McDaniel stepping up, stepping into the spotlight, and just seizing their moment.
That last possession, that was a good foul on Dickinson. If you have an opportunity 2 to 3 feet away from the basket as a 7-footer, fouling on the floor, definitely a better option than letting him go up and shoot it.
Quietly now a 13-point game. Dickinson, they'll go inside again to him. Is that going to be offensive? It is. Will Page draws it.
So Will Page was the one that fouled Dickinson before, didn't let him attempt the shot, that time taking a charge. That's a nice defensive possession for Will Page.
And right now, the Panthers could bring this within 10. Getting much better movement. Keels baseline Oduro. Oduro lost the handle off of his thigh as Keels with it. Going to drive. Testing the trees. No call. Last touch by DeMatha. It stays on this end. 11 to shoot. Oduro perhaps should have pulled up there, doesn't. McDaniel back to Oduro, and you can see a little hesitation. He gets that to finish.
Back-to-back baskets for Oduro on those shot attempts. That's big for confidence. You want your leaders to have big ball games. He's heating up. It's an 11-point game.
that one goes for DeMatha, as that is Carlson getting that one to go, and we'll go back the other way. Panthers, again, if you can keep this right around 10 going into the fourth quarter, that's huge. They go back to Oduro, McDaniel up top. The freshman, oh my goodness, does that count, or is it going to be 2 free throws? They're going to be 2 free throws because, I guess, goaltending interference afterwards. So McDaniel with 2 shots upcoming. Either way, huge play, and he came up with plays like that against St. John's last night.
A little bit of Kyrie Irving in him with the jelly right by the basket. That was a lot of spin on that basketball.
Got the first to drop. He has 8 points tonight. That was his first missed free throw, as that was nearly taken away. Back the other way. Here we go. 40 seconds. 20 to shoot now. PVI up in the pressure. Back door's open.
Wow.
Great tip away for the moment by Ford, but that will fall as that was scored by Jameer Young. Back the other way for the Panthers, looking to hold for one. 14-point game again, but if you can get out of this at 12, that's huge.
DeMatha fortunate that they scored on that possession. Justin Moore sat on the block for a good 3 or 4 seconds, wide open after the aggressive double-team defense from Paul VI.
Keels, he gets it to go! Trevor Keels doing Trevor Keels things. Another 3. That one will bring the Panthers within 11 as the third quarter ends.
We've seen him hit buzzer beaters all over the place on this network. I think there was a big one last night that you can recall.
Yeah, he was on Military Road, outside of the building hitting that one. This one he hits from across the street at Route 50. And I'd like to remind you that, not to forget that Monumental Sports Network VIP members get exclusive access to events, complimentary ticket opportunities, and more every month. Start a free trial at getmonumental.com. I actually benefited from that. I saw some free tickets to the Wizards-Pacers game on the 31st, compliments of that membership. So you can't beat that.
There are some great opportunities. Some of the VIP events are really, really cool. The opportunity to go to a mixology class with members of the Washington Capitals, the reigning Stanley Cup champions.
After their celebration, a chance to go to a mixology class with Ovi. that seems like it could go a lot of different ways and be a lot of fun.
I think no matter what, it's going to be an experience that maybe you'll never forget.
Or one you won't remember, as it were. 8 minutes to go. 1 versus 2 in the DMV. Who is going to claim the top of the mountain, at least for the moment? 48-37. DeMatha leads. 23 to shoot. Stags moving it around. Dickinson. Little too much spin. And you 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that.
That's the height advantage in full effect. First 2 bunnies unable to go. Size helps with the third one.
Keels going to drive. And 1. He took over yesterday, trying to do it again here tonight.
The legend of Trevor Keels continues. We saw this guy burst onto the scene at National Hoop Fest last season, hit the game-tying three-pointer. Unfortunately, we saw one of the craziest plays on Monumental Sports Network in basketball history with a half-court game winner in that game right after. But he continues to just produce for this team. He's become the go-to player for the Panthers this season.
Got that to go. Keels on a 6-0 run. 10-point game, 7:30 to go. Panthers pressing. Page can't get it to turn, so DeMatha back in the offensive area. 20 seconds on the shot clock. Young inside to Dickinson. Why not? It's ripped away. Avery Ford. They go to Keels. Trevor Keels Gets it to Doug McDaniel, 11, the little freshman. Lost the handle, though. Stags will get it back. And that was a huge possession as Josh Wallace with the takeaway. Oh, and that is an offensive foul. Dickinson. I got to say, the cappy, though, goes to Doug McDaniel. I think there's a little bit of acting, but he took it like a champ.
The size difference,
yep.
It clearly makes that look worse than it may have actually been, but absolutely was an offensive foul on Dickinson on that play.
So 10-point game, and for a freshman, how smart was that? That long one doesn't go, and Dickinson off the bounce for the rebound.
I'm not sure I love that possession from the Panthers.
And that is coast to coast, Justin Moore with the finish. PVI pushing, Keels drives inside, can't get it to go. And Keels just trying to will his way and will the Panthers back into this one.
And this is the style that you were discussing before the game started, Brian. A lot of free throw attempts in yesterday's game, a big reason why they were able to come back and get that victory at St. John's. This fourth quarter, he has been as aggressive as we've ever seen him.
Yeah, this is going to be his fourth attempted free throw. Got the first.
It seems like the lane has started to open up a little bit in this fourth quarter for the Panthers.
Keels gets them both. 3 of 5 from the line for Keels. To Young on the press break. Up top. And the Stags go baseline to Dickinson. Jameer Young. Up top. Great ball movement again from the Stags. 10 to shoot. Young goes baseline, wrap around, and that is beautiful off the glass.
Every bit of length on that finish. I think his arm was locked when he threw that thing off the backboard.
He has 10 on the night, leads back to 12. Get to Odoro. From long distance, doesn't go. And here come the Stags.
On that last defensive possession, even though it ended in a basket for DeMatha, Paul VI did a nice job keeping them out of the paint.
That one doesn't roll. Underneath, Moore will go to the line for an extra.
I didn't even get to finish the sentence there, Brian. On that possession, they were almost daring them to shoot from beyond the arc. In transition, though, this is what makes the Stags so dangerous. They get into position in a hurry, all of a sudden an and one opportunity for one of their best players.
The DeMatha Stags are a lot like the DeMatha Chameleons. I don't care what style of play you play, DeMatha can match it. As this lead is starting to get away, Panthers need to find a way. Oduro and Dickinson blocks that. Quickly the other way, Jameer Young can't get the roll. And he will go to the line. No, what's the call? They're going to say Panthers ball. Panthers bring it up, 5:10 to go in this one. Get it to Keels. Keels, number 0, trying to make something happen to McDaniel. McDaniel had Oduro on the roll, but just couldn't see him through the trees. They get him to Oduro, and that's blocked from behind. Get off my lawn, says Earl Timberlake. Back the other way we go. Moore with it. Up top, Jameer Young. Great ball movement again. 20 to shoot. DeMatha pulls it out. We'll run a little clock. That one off the front iron, and now here comes Keels. Like a freight train, as you say, Dan, and gets that off the glass. Timeout, Paul VI.
Well, we know what we're getting from Keels this quarter.
Yeah.
That man's not stopping until he gets to the basket.
Keels has 18 on the evening. As there you get a look inside the PVI huddle. They trail by 15 again, we've seen him in this spot before, but you have Keels driving. This is maybe where you want to get a three-point shooter lined up behind him, where you can maybe get a kick out, get something going that way. If you're DeMatha, their last couple of possessions, they've been very well coached and very smart. They're not putting up a shot until there's 10 seconds on that shot clock.
Which I think is the most important point, is that DeMatha's been patient in their half-court offense. Unless there's an opportunity in transition, you take advantage of it. You make that lead even larger. But for Paul VI, I think there's still enough time where you don't necessarily have to start chucking up threes. I think they've done a really nice job getting to the basket in a hurry, whether it's in transition, in the half court. I think most of their opportunities, they've had at least 20 seconds left on the shot clock, which at this stage of the game you'll need to do. But with 4:29 left in the fourth, I don't think it's time to hit that panic button and start tossing in threes from the deep range we saw in that first quarter. Will have to happen soon if they're unable to score, but I think continue what you're doing on the offensive end and just try to get a few more stops on the defensive end.
PVI going with the full court press. Looks like the diamond look. One of my favorite defenses. Of course, the way you beat it's with the long ball. And DeMatha content to bring it up. They're actually just going to man it up. 4:20 to go, 20 seconds on the shot clock. Moore around and through, and that was too easy. Moore with 13. Keel's going to drive through and is forced back. And that's the presence of Dickinson forcing him out. 24 Freeman with it. Back to McDaniel, 15 to shoot. McDaniel, little Euro step. Are they going to get the foul? They are. He'll go to the line for two.
It seems almost unfair to ask this of McDaniel, but he has become the second option on Paul VI. And if Keels is unable to get to the basket, you saw 2 or 3 defenders around him when he tried that time, he's going to have to be the guy that gets to the basket.
First one doesn't go.
And to your earlier point, Brian, now we're starting to enter that territory where you're going to have to start getting your better three-point shooters out there. Not necessarily pulling up straight off the top, but perhaps getting some drive and kick opportunities.
That's a tough 0 for 2, and when you start missing free throws like that late, that's a fatigue thing, that's a stamina thing, that's a back-to-back night sort of thing, as that one is easy for Moore. And again, for the Panthers, they missed a lot of time because of all the snow and winter weather and cold weather. Fairfax County Public Schools, they missed almost a week of school, which was great in one respect. Talking to Coach Ferrello yesterday, he was saying it was a reset because these teams travel so much during the holidays. So a mental break, a break from practice, but also you lose a little bit of conditioning there too.
There's also the aspect, this game, I mean, this is the third attempt at getting it done. It was rescheduled twice before this.
Yep. So a lot of attempts, a lot of game planning, and sometimes you just want to get that test out of the way. Of course, these teams will see each other again at some point for sure. As that one is knocked out of bounds, it'll stay on that end with the Stags.
I think regardless of the final result here tonight, we've learned 2 things. One, DeMatha is the team to beat in the DMV. No matter what happens in the WCAC standings, no matter what happens in this final score tonight, they are the most talented group that we have in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. The other thing we've learned is that Paul VI are as feisty as anyone. They have fought in this game. DeMatha is just too talented. This lead up to 19, this is the biggest lead of the ball game for the Stags.
I agree with most of that.
Okay, let me
Here's
hear
what
it.
I'll say about WCAC tournament play, though.
Yes.
Remember Mello Trimble and how great he was? They were a high seed. Bishop Ireton knocked them out in their first game. Chris Jenkins, national championship at Villanova, hit the game winner. Bishop Ireton knocked out that number 1 seed early. Being a number 1 seed in the WCAC guarantees you nothing. The depth in that tournament, the depth in the conference is insane. You think a 16 beating a 1 in the NCAAs is crazy. In the WCAC, there's always that one shocking result. You never know who it's going to be. It's going to happen at some point during the quarterfinals. And DeMatha, yeah, they look untouchable right now, but you got Gonzaga. They can do some special things. You got O'Connell. So you got a lot of other teams out there. PVI, tonight was just a very poor shooting night, and that's going to happen.
Right.
If PVI shoots 20% more better. This game's, single digits right now. So that will make it a 20-point advantage with 2:50 to go. And that is a foul right in front of Farello. And PVI still coaching through this one, but body language-wise, you can kind of see they're ready for a little bit of a rest, too.
I have to say, the number of different defensive styles they've used in this game has been very impressive, not only from a coaching perspective, but a player perspective to really be able to follow all these things. Yep. PVI's played man-to-man, a 2-3 zone, a 3-2 zone, and I think I saw 4-1 for a little bit as well, where they just had Oduro in the post with Dickinson. Farello throwing a little bit of everything at DeMatha today.
And at some point, too, it's get things on film, see what worked, because chances are you'll see them again. Keel's going to be fouled. It's going to be a smack to the face, so he'll go to the line for a couple. And again, you throw different things on film. I don't have the schedule in front of me, whether or not they play each other in the regular season again. But come postseason time, these teams are likely going to meet up again. So put things on film, see what works, try to find answers, especially as you go through a team that has that much more size than you, as that one doesn't go. Talking to Farello yesterday, he was saying that this is almost like one of those Christmas tournaments where you're playing nationally ranked teams every night. You played one yesterday, talented team yesterday. You're playing a nationally ranked team tonight. And that's just how it goes in the WCAC. No one feels bad for you. One night, you're playing the number 7 team ranked in the areas. Dickinson throws that one down. The next night, you're playing the number 5 team ranked in the country. That's just another week in the WCAC as that one doesn't go.
It's not going to be long until these teams meet up again.
Okay.
February 10th, DeMatha hosts Paul VI.
That's 6 days.
That is next week, Brian. Yeah, I'd say that it's a good thing to have on tape.
Yes.
To go back and look at the film. And Paul VI should be happy. I truly think that in spurts today, we saw exactly what this team is made of, both on the defensive and offensive end. Just unable to get a lot of those looks in the paint to fall today.
Yeah, between Keels and here's the thing about Keels, and this is easy to forget looking at his size and how well he's playing. He's a sophomore. They're going to have McDaniel and Keels together for 3 more years.
Not to mention, we haven't said his name more than once in this broadcast, but Jeremy Roach returns next year too. And he presumably would be, if not the best, one of the best players in the area upon his return. You don't get looks from Duke and Kentucky unless you're a pretty darn good basketball player.
His injury occurred over the summer. You got to watch that timeline as well.
Of course.
I know a couple years ago, Jelani Williams with Sidwell Friends suffered a knee injury, and they just sat him, thinking ahead towards college. And it'll be interesting to see what the approach is. Do they bring him back? Does he take that full calendar year plus to get right for that next level as well?
And does he wait to go to the showcases?
Exactly.
In December is really when he wants to come back and show off for scouts as a one big-time thing. Although, to be fair, WCAC competition, you get to play a lot of difficult opponents. At that age, and given already the offers that he has on the table, you would hope that he takes his time and comes back whenever he feels he truly is ready. Although, for any athlete, it is darn near impossible to tell them, especially near the end of that recovery, you're itching to get back on the basketball court. I bet both him and Harris, if they had their druthers, would want to try to get back into conditioning now. You just can't with these kind of injuries.
I mean, not an ACL, but I was dealing with, an injury as a runner, training for marathon, and I actually took a small injury, and it ended up being 2 months because the next day, as soon as I felt good, I'd get out there, and my coach finally had to sit me down and say, hey, get healthy and then come back. And that's what the coaches are there for. That's what the trainers are there for. You got to listen to them, because any athlete, if they have their way, they're going to be out there. They're going to be pushing.
In terms of the remaining schedule for DeMatha, we mentioned the Paul VI game next week. They also are at Gonzaga later this week. They're at St. John's. They've got a couple difficult games, and they wrap their season at O'Connell. So they've got 3 relatively difficult road games left after this one at Paul VI.
But by the way, pull up the St. John's remaining schedule, because you want to talk about a murderer's row to end the season. As Panthers pressing, and DeMatha will pull it out. So you got DeMatha, O'Connell, PVI, and Gonzaga to close it out. Right now, St. John's, I believe, is sitting at right around the 4 seed, 5 seed in the WCAC. They could find themselves in the bottom half of the league playing on the road to start the tournament, as that one goes in for Keels. In league play, I know Bishop Arton's right there at the 5 or 6 seed, but they very well could catch St. John's with that tough 4-game stretch. Baseline, Dickinson, and that's just unfair. That's the second one in a row. As now it's 1:29 to go, as the lead is now 23. Timeout called by DeMatha. I think both teams are going to start to get their starters out of the lineup, as DeMatha has cleared the bench.
So after this game, Brian, there will be a new number 1 by themselves in the WCAC standings, and it will be DeMatha.
DeMatha all alone up top, and they'll be all alone up top in the local rankings as well. There won't be too much chatter in the forums of maybe not, as that goes. One matchup I wish we could see, and I know it's not scheduled, would be DeMatha versus Wilson locally. That would be a really fun game with the Mitchell twins and all that.
I also think another fun one, I would love to see Caduce Wahab from Flint Hill match up with Hunter Dickinson from DeMatha. I don't think that Flint Hill has the athleticism to compete with the Stags, but for the individual matchup alone, I just think it's very intriguing, because Caduce Wahab is such a traditional big man. Back to the basket, a bevy of post moves, and then Dickinson has some post moves, but he's got that long-range shot. Yeah. And to see the two of them match up, I think it'd be intriguing. Nonetheless, a lot of great teams in the area. But
what I would really love, and the talent and the depth of basketball in this area, to have some sort of 8 or 16 team playoff for DMV champ. The problem, of course, is just scheduling, because end of February this will end. I know the DC State plays their championship beginning of March.
Yeah, the VISAA have their own tournament.
And then you have the spring. It would be great to just have even a +1 where you have the Virginia winner, probably Paul Sixer O'Connell, against the DC State winner, potentially Gonzaga, St. John's, Wilson. A lot of different. If they could put something together, that would be phenomenal. But of course, scheduling doesn't really work. And of course, there's that national tournament that does get thrown together, but that doesn't happen until April, which is why the WCAC teams don't participate. As on the tech that goes. But yeah, some sort of just DMV bracketology we could do a whole hour-long podcast around that.
Absolutely. 100% we could do that. Depending on how far out you go, too.
Yeah.
What the loose definition of DMV basketball would be, because the further you go into Maryland, there are some other really good teams out there.
I love the effort late from the Panthers to get another one to go. That one knocked away. And that's a little Windex cleanup from Steve Settle. And hey, I don't blame these DeMatha kids coming off the bench, as that's an and one. You got bench guys on both sides, and you know what? Get some good film out there, because film is currency if you want to play at the next level. I remember once upon a time watching a JV game and seeing this kid named Markel Fultz come running down the floor and throw down a windmill dunk. 2 years later, he's a number 1 pick in the draft. So when you get out there, do what you can.
Boy, it's amazing how quick things happen, huh? 2 years from senior in high school to number 1 pick in the draft. Unbelievable.
Shot clock is off. Little floater, doesn't go. Panthers can't get the board. DeMatha will. Panthers, though, are still pressing. Lost his footing, but DeMatha keeps it with 10 seconds. So, of course, number 1 versus number 2. And DeMatha will stand tall. The reigning defending WCAC champs stake their claim as they knock off PVI 78-57 and remain undefeated in WCAC play, a perfect 13-0 as they keep things moving forward in the WCAC. Dan, what's your biggest takeaway from what we saw at DeMatha tonight?
Well, we've had a chance to discuss it a little bit near the end of that fourth quarter, but I think you have to take away that DeMatha absolutely is the best team, the favorite in the WCAC moving forward near the end of the regular season, and they approach tournament time. And I think my other takeaway for Paul VI is when the ball is falling, I think they're every bit as competitive in the WCAC as anyone, and that includes DeMatha when it comes to tournament time. You never know. A 10-0 run in tournament play, all of a sudden the other team starts to pucker up a little bit. The WCAC is very talented. We knew that already. I think we saw flashes of how good this Paul VI team can be come tournament time tonight.
Yeah, it's always amazing when you have a poor shooting percentage night because that can all change. In the tournament, DeMatha could certainly have a night like that, and all of a sudden, all bets are off. So still a lot of hoops to go. These teams will lock horns again in 6 days, so still a lot of hoops to be played. For my producer and color commentator, Dan Nolan, I am Brian Kapoor saying so long from Fairfax. Have a great night.